Ruchem Aboyim B'Shem Irgun Shir Torah Moses Boston. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's shir. All the men who are here in the main shul, all the women upstairs and downstairs, everyone listening in on the phone connection, and whoever's watching through the live broadcast. Ruchem Aboyim to everyone. I'd like to remind the Olam Irgun Shir Torah lies and the Tzibur is sponsoring the shirim to continue being able to bring the shirim to the community. Call Irgun Shir Torah at 718-851-8651 or email tapecenter@yeshivanet.com to have this great schus of Avodas Torah D'Rabim. I'd like to give a big yashikar to the Rand family for their support of tonight's shir Nishmas Aviyim, Moshe Ben Elazar, and Imam Chedva Fradel, Pastor Rabbi Dovid Aleim HaSholem. Also, I'd like to remind Olam that Irgun Shir Torah's annual dinner will be coming up on next month, August 15th. It's time to start thinking about putting an ad in the journal to honor the Rabbanim whose shirim we've organized or to help Irgun Shir Torah with Avodas Torah worldwide throughout the year. Tonight we have the cover to have with us once again Rabbi Dovid Goldwaser Shlita, Rav of Kalbane Yitzchak, a noted international speaker, to speak on the important topic of where there's life, there's hope. Kol zman she'odem chai yesh lo tikva. It's my cover to call on Rav Goldwaser for tonight's drasha.
Yashikoyach Godel. It is a schus to be here tonight under the auspices of Irgun Shir Torah. From all of the organizations and all of the moizdas, Irgun Shir Torah occupies a singular place in reaching out around the world, lahagdil Torah la'adira. It's interesting, my great Rebbe, Reb Simcha Wasserman, used to ask a question. Why does it say Matzdeke harabim kechochovim? That they're like the stars. Why not malachim? Why not something else? Why dafka kechovim? So he said the following. If you take a look and you see a star in the sky and you ask a child, tell me, how big is a star? So the child will tell you, maybe it's this big or maybe it's that big. The truth is, the star that we're looking up in the night could be bigger than the planet that we're living on right now. That's Irgun Shir Torah. That's Rav Bold. That's Rav Deutsch. That's all of the staff. I say, yeah, they're grace of mention. They're big. They do a lot. What they're really doing, kikoichavim. It's beyond our idea. It's beyond our hasaga. The amount of Torah that they increase in the world, in the summer, in the winter, all year round. They do it in a quiet way. I just tell you, it's not a commercial. Anybody that can help them, anyone that can put their money behind them, is a guaranteed return on the investment. The ehrlichkeit of this particular Torah organization is on the highest level possible. Anybody that can help them, the Ribbon Shalom has special brachas for. Interesting, today's day and age, the idea of hope. So many times, there are people that lose hope in different areas of life. Lose hope in living itself, in living. Lose hope, parnasa. Lose hope, their children going on the right derech. Lose hope on being able to learn. Lose hope on the family, husband and wife. Loss of hope. Loss of hope in ourselves. But the truth is, kol zaman she'adam chai, anything can happen at any given second. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can make a way out of nowhere. A person's entire life can change for the better in one day. And it may never take longer than a second. Yesh koin olama b'sha'achas. We can be koine chaye olam haba in a moment. We could change our whole situation living in one moment. Let me start off. There was a individual that had money. And he decided he only wanted to donate to people that had given up hope in life. Every once in a while, someone will tell me, I want to support such a cause, or I'm looking for this particular need. But this person only wanted to support someone that was miyayish, that had no hope left. And so he went around looking for someone who had no hope. He sees someone lying in the garbage. Outside in the garbage, he sees him lying there on one of the containers on the garbage, and the ashpa. So he figures this guy lost hope, lying in the garbage. He goes over and he gives him some money. And the guy said, oh, thank you very much. What's this for? He says, I see that you lost hope. Since you lost hope, I want to give you money because I only want to give people money who've lost all hope. The guy said, I tell you the truth, I didn't lose any hope at all. It seems to me that you're the one that's hopeless. The guy got very upset. I came to give you money and you're giving klolos back? What is this? Why are you doing that? So he says, I want you to know, Shteit in Pasuk, Mikimi me'afar dol, me'ashpois yorim evyoin. So we see there's a Pasuk in Tehillim. As long as a person is living here in this world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can take that person and change the situation, can better it, can raise them up, can make them different. Every person, no matter who, is an individual that was, I don't want to say it, person ready to take their life. It's a desperate world, and we hear about it every so often. Unfortunately, lo yolenu v'akol beis Yisrael, it's a reality. There was a certain media that asked to do an interview on me. I was called down into the city, and they set up the interview. Interviewer, they had photographer, they also had somebody videoing the interview. And the interview starts, we get underway, a couple of minutes, what's your current work, what are you doing, what's your ideas, and before I know it, a person opens the door and says, Rabbi Goldwaser, you have a telephone call. I'm in the middle. I'm on the camera. I can't be mavad. I said, please tell them to wait. I continue. The person comes back. They cannot wait. I said, is it urgent? The person said, they said it's a matter of life or death. I said, I'll take the call. Answer the call. The person begins to tell me that they've had it. The job went down. The marriage went down. They didn't have personal hatzlacha. There are certain things that they have, shverikait and problems. They have a bottle, I hesitate to say it, a bottle of pills. And they just took one. And they're going to make a siyum on the bottle. I said, wait, hold on. You made the call. We're talking right now. Let's speak. And I began to talk to the individual. All of a sudden, in the middle while we're talking, he says, you're trying to delay me. You're just trying, this is delay tactics. I said, no, I promise you, I'd like to get to know you. I don't know you to delay you, but I want to talk with you. That's it. I'm taking the bottle. I said, wait a minute, wait. You mispala for siyata dishmaya at every moment. Hashem gave me the words at that second. I said, what's your name? Ruvain. Ruvain. I don't believe it. Your name is really Ruvain? Yes. Do you know who Ruvain was? From the entire Chumash? Ruvain, Hatzil, Ruvain, the one that guarded life, the one that rescued life, the one that came to Yosef HaTzadik. Take a look at Chazal. Ruvain. Ruvain is the person that gives life, that wants life, that stands for life. You have to have life. You need life. You've got to give others life. I need you to live. He stopped. He said, Rebbe, is that really who Ruvain was? I said, let me ask you a question. Do you have a Chumash Bereshis? He said, yes. I said, I'll wait right here. Will you get it? He said, I'm afraid to put the phone down. I said, then just hold on. I spoke with him for quite a bit of time until I was able to fix that someone would come to get him. I hung up the telephone, sweating, soaked with perspiration. I was ready to continue the interview. The interviewer says, Rav Goldwaser, we've got everything we need. We don't need to interview anymore. On a day, in an age like today, we got to tell the value of life, that every single person matters. There's not a yid in the world, a boy or a girl, that cannot be a future Mashiach. You got children in the class? I don't care whether they make aleph or whether they make haves or vovs or zayin or tuf. I don't care what their projected potential is. I don't care what the standardized tests prove. That's a Yiddish neshama. And that neshama has a yicholis, a potential that's explosive. Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld says, Al tigu b'mshichoi, don't touch my anointed ones, the little kinderlach, each one, regardless of what they have proven so far. Everyone is choshuv. Every man and woman is choshuv. There's no such a thing as a person that lacks chashivas in this world. Every one of us are important. Every one of us does a particular tafkid in this world. And so, what happened was, this rich man, he asked the guy lying in the garbage, literally lying in the garbage, could you tell me who's desperate? Who gave up hope? He says there's only one place you can find people that are giving up hope, that there's no chance anymore. If you go to the Beis HaChaim, you go to the cemetery, there the people gave up hope. They lived their life and they're done. Give your money to them. The big chacham heard the Eitz HaToiva from the man in the garbage. You can never tell where your Eitz is going to come from. He goes to the cemetery, goes to Beis HaChaim, he takes money, and he puts a good deal of money in the ground. He dedicated it to the Shenei Ofer. That's where he gave it to. He buried it deep. Okay? Goes back. He found the one that gave up hope. A couple years later, a person can never tell. My great Rebbe, Rabbi Victor Miller, says every day you say Borei Choleinu. Every single day you ask Hashem, bless us. Bless the year. But on Rosh Hashanah, I asked for the bracha. On Rosh Hashanah, I got everything that I needed. We're all familiar with the Chazal. So it's Borei Choleinu. Says Rabbi Avigdor, every single day we're saying a bracha, a tefillah, that whatever we're supposed to get, we continue to be ra'ai, worthy of getting. Borei Choleinu. Well, this Gevir, the one that buried the money inside of the Beis HaChaim, unfortunately, his mazel went down. He lost all his money. He was destitute. He remembered that he buried the money in the Beis HaChaim. And so, towards the evening, he went with a little shovel back to the Beis HaChaim. He goes inside, and he starts to dig. All of a sudden, they grab him from both sides. The guards found him trying to steal the graves, steal the kvarim. They took him in to prison. The next day, he stands in front of the judge, and he says to the judge, Judge, I'm innocent. The judge says, innocent? They caught you. You're trying to steal from the graves. He says, no, you don't understand. Years ago, I saw this guy, and he was lying in the garbage, in the trash. And the whole thing that happened, that he said the people that gave up, the people that don't have hope anymore, are those that already left this world. So what happened was, so I went there and I gave them money and I buried it, and I was just going to take out what I put in. The judge said, you don't recognize me? You don't remember me? I was the one on top of the trash. I was the one that was lying there. I give you permission to go and to get your money back. Masa Shahaya, brought down by the Ben Ish Chai. Individual never knows where they're going to end up. A person that has nothing today could have tomorrow tremendous riches, could have tomorrow great Havana. The children could all of a sudden come back and go in the right way and can steig in class and can become from the greatest students. And who knows what they're capable of doing when they get older, to start chesed and to care about the cloud. Who knows what the capabilities are? Each one has a diamond inside, has to be discovered. If you mine for diamonds, they don't stand there on black velvet shining so that you can just know how to mine them. They're encrusted. They got dirt. They got all kinds of things around them, all kind of minerals. They have to be wiped off. They have to be polished professionally. Every single neshama in this world has something great to offer. Everyone. Chas v'sholom to ever lose hope on anybody. Interesting in terms of Yiddishkeit itself. A lot of times a person gives up. I'm not what I used to be. I used to be very careful. I took on myself to have extra shmir in different areas. Now I'm not so careful. Okay, I got older. I graduated. I left the Beis Medrash. I moved to a different city. I'm not in a seminary anymore. Things happen differently. Individuals should know that in every moment we need chizuk for ourselves to keep our level, to keep our madrega. Never ever chas v'sholom to go down, even one madrega, to be mechazik ourselves. A lot of times I lost hope. I used to be careful, and I'm not careful in that anymore. In today's world, you can't be careful in that. It's impossible. It's all over. It's lost. Somebody told me we lost the war. I said, which war? Which war? They said, we lost the war. I said, which war? Tell me. Were you a fighter in the war? Were you a captain, general, lieutenant, admiral, private? Or like my Rebbe would say, Reb Simcha, you a deserter. We're in the war. We have, all of us, a madrega to hold by. There was a Sheres HaPleita Yid who came to Eretz Yisrael. And he wanted to talk over, he left Yiddishkeit. He wanted to talk over something in life with the great Rav Shach, Marana Rav Shach. So he goes to Rav Shach, and he spoke over whatever he wanted. He's still held by the Chachmei Yisrael. Chachmei Yisrael. Even Hordus held by Chachmei Yisrael. Bova Ben Buta, he kept alive. He needed an Eitzah Toiva. So he asked Rav Shach about his Eitzah. And Rav Shach answered him. Rav Shach then began to talk to him about his Yiddishkeit. And he said to him, what's going on with you? And the man started to explain it to him. So he said, let me ask you a question. You're a chassid, right? In the old days, he says, yeah. And who were you a chassid of? I was a chassid of the Mozartcher Rebbe. Mozartcher Rebbe. Rav Shach began to sing a Mozartcher Niggin. A Mozartcher Niggin! As he began to sing it, this Yid began to sing along. Rav Shach told him, for a chassid, it's not good enough just to sing. We also have to dance. Rav Shach took him, and they sang and they danced to the Mozartcher Niggin together. The Godel Ador and the Yid that went way off. The Yid broke down and cried. After that, of course, he would never be the same. Slowly found his way back to Yiddishkeit. Rav Shach saw him. What did he say? Lost. Give up hope. Forget that one. We got a lot of others that we can worry about. Don't worry about it. No, he worried about it because he knew that you don't give up hope on anyone. Interesting. The Gemara in Pesachim talks about when they shechted the Korban Pesach. So they were afraid because there were so many korbanos. They were afraid that it's possible that the dam of one of the korbanos, one was not nizrak, wasn't thrown on the Mizbeach. If that happened, without Zrikas Adam, the korban is puzzle. So they were afraid. So what did they do? They had a big idea. Rabbi Yehuda was masakin that they would take a container and they would take it on the floor and gather up the dam that spilled, and then they would throw that on the Mizbeach. Just in case one of the korbanos was missing the dam that was supposed to be sprinkled on the Mizbeach. The Gemara asked, how's that possible? What's that a remedy for? We all know the din that the dam had to be collected in a vessel, in a kli, so that it was ra'oi to be thrown on the Mizbeach. So gathering the blood on the floor didn't help anything. The Gemara answers that the Kohanim were zrizim. They were very quick, they were very zealous. They were careful. They knew the blood that was already collected. They knew exactly where it spilled. They knew how it spilled. They knew where it was. And they would go and collect the blood that was already collected. And then they would throw it. Says the Pnei Menachem, the great Ger Rebbe, people fall in this world. Not everybody stays. Not everybody's stark. There are Yeridas. There are Yeridas and Aliyas. Everybody has Yeridas and Aliyas. Everybody. Nobody can say they never had a Yerida. But if a person falls, says the Ger Rebbe, they got to know where they fell and how they fell. And they've got to know, more importantly, how do they pick themselves up like the dam on the floor, and how do they put it back on the Mizbeach. Never ever to give up hope. The Kohanim didn't give up hope. No one gave up hope. We certainly don't have the right. A Yid came to me and he told me he did certain Averis. And it's a very bothersome thing for me, especially when someone comes in, because we're not mizvada to each other. But if it helps to get off a person's burden, if it helps for them to unload, so sometimes you have to be soivel, sometimes you have to withstand it. And in fact, it's unbelievable abarvanel that says, what does it mean in Perkei Avos, noisei be'oil, that a person is noisei be'oil? It means if you come to a Rav, if you come to a Rebbe, a Rebbetzin, whoever, and you say, I did an Aveira Chamura, they don't say to you, you might as well give up, cash in, that's it. They tell you derech tshuva. They tell you how it's not so bad. They tell you how there are ways that a person can become a tzaddik, can become an individual that's higher than a tzaddik, and try to make it a way that they will feel a little bit better about themselves. And so the Yid told me, I know, and I don't like to say it, I know that I'm going to burn. I won't finish the sentence. I never heard somebody come in and say that to me. People came in and said a lot of things, but not that Yid. I said, how could you say that? How could you say it for 1 minute? What did you do so terrible? He told me what he did. I said, you didn't corrupt anyone else. You're not a chaytem machtis arabim. You weren't oived avodah zarah. To the best of my knowledge, you don't have a gun. You didn't go and kill anybody. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You did averis. We all do averis. There's not a person, Shlomo HaMelech says, there's not one that didn't do an avera. How could you give up your hope like this? He said, somebody told me I could forget about Olam Haba. I said, if that individual knows the ins and outs of Olam Haba and who's a member and who's not, could you give me his telephone number? Because I'd like to ask him a few questions myself. What is going on here? What is going on? And I told the individual the following Torah from Rav Shach. Chazal tell us that Korach went Shiva Meduras Eishin Gehenim. Shiva Meduras Eishin Gehenim. Korach went to the lowest level. All of a sudden, inside of Gehenim, he was moved and he wanted to say Shira to Hashem. Some people are moved. They come in the Beis Medrash. They come here in Boston or wherever. Everyone is watching around the world. They're moved by Irgun Shurei Torah. Other people are moved, chas v'sholem, when the Einish begins to surface. So unfortunately, that was when they got their Hisoiris, and they wanted to say Shira. But they couldn't open up their mouth because the heat was so intense, the fire was so hot, they couldn't open up their mouth. So they just said Shira inside. Inside, they moved themselves to say Shira. Roshach said, how's it possible? Azam matzav ruach. They're in Gehenna, not the highest part of Gehenna, the lowest part of Gehenna. And they're saying Shira to Hashem. How's it possible? Roshach says, every person has the possibility for kirvas elokim, to be close to Hashem. It doesn't matter where they're at. It doesn't matter whether they're on the highest madrega, they're standing in the foot of Har Sinai, it's a Kabbalah Satira. It doesn't matter whether they're present at the Binyan Beis HaMikdash. It doesn't matter whether they were by Akedas Yitzchak. It doesn't matter whether the person is a Baal Aveira on the lowest level in Gehenna. If the person wants Kirbas Elokim, they can have it. It's free. They can do it in just with one moment. They can change. Hashem Yisbarach took the expression of Koirach. Look what happened in Sefer Tehillim because Bnei Koirach did tshuva. An individual has the power to be able to come back. An individual has the power to be able to get back right close together with Hashem. It's a Rambam, open Rambam. Rambam says a person yesterday could be sonoi, hated to Hashem, despised. And today, the individual could be on the highest level. That's a hard thing for us to understand. A person will think, I'm out of it. I turned off. All an individual needs is a cheshik, is a ratzon, not to give up, not to say, there's no hope left for me, there's no hope left for that person, no hope left for Parnasa, no hope left for my wife, for my husband, no hope left. There is always hope, there's always tikva at every single moment. It's amazing that individual only needs to keep in their heart a tremendous amount of hope. There's a shail in Shailas Teshuvas Mimamakim from Rav Ashri Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Somebody asked him if you are allowed to be ma'abed atzmo ladas, in simple words, to commit suicide. And they asked him, and there was a good reason why they asked him, because in the situation that they were in, they were very afraid. They were afraid of torture. They were afraid they wouldn't come to Kever Yisrael. There were a number of presenting factors. Rav Ashri gave a long answer, be'iyun, and I'd like to quote for you, from one of the ending paragraphs. V'davar zeh yesh boi mishum chilul Hashem. Chas v'sholem. A person should take their own life. Lo aleinu v'al kol beis Yisrael. Is a chilul Hashem. Mipnei shezeho yamare. Because it shows ki'ilu ein la Yehudim bitochen b'chazdei Hashem. As if we don't have proper trust in the chesed of Hashem. Shiyatzile mideim atmeos. That Hashem will save us from the tumet gehent. V'arurois. Shalatzorim Yamach Shemam of the Nazis, Yamach Shemam Zichram. V'chol retzoinum shalaroitzchim. This is the key sentence. The entire will, the desire, the purpose of these roitzchim, hoyolahachnis bekerev haYehudim, was to try to infiltrate the innermost of the Jews, kidei la'akor milibam, in order to remove from their heart kol tikva v'techeles lishuas Hashem, any hope. That's what the Nazis wanted to take away, hope. They knew as long as there was hope, we still had a chance. That great tzaddik, Simon Wiesenthal, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, said when he was interviewed internationally, and all the Amim were listening, they said, Mr. Wiesenthal, could you please tell us, what does it mean to be Jewish? What does it mean? Simon Wiesenthal thought for a moment, and he said the following: to be Jewish is to invent hope where there is none. That's being Jewish. Is to be able to understand the greatness that we have inside, and that at any moment we pray to Hashem, we daven to Hashem, we bet Hashem with all that we have, and we continue. Even a person daven 500 times, it doesn't matter. Daven 1,000 times. There's a tefillah. It says in Medrash, a tefillah that's answered the first time. A person goes to daven, they're answered right away. Then there's a tefillah that's answered the 1,000th time. I saw a Yid in the city. I was walking past, and he was waiting by one of the news outlets. So I looked at him. I found it funny. He's standing on the line. So he says, Rebbe, you should excuse me. He comes over, he shakes my hand, he runs back in the line. I said, no, it's okay. We don't have to talk Torah here. But he says, I got to buy a lottery ticket. I said, oh, interesting. Is it like a special lottery? It's a lot of money this time, like a triple lottery, a double? He says, no, I buy a lottery every week. I said, how long? Just curious, how long you've been doing it? He says, well, since I'm married, it's now 35 years, and I don't miss a week. I shouldn't have asked him, but I did. Did you ever win? Not yet, Rebbe. I said, well, if you win, don't forget me. How could it be? 35 years, every week. You know what? After a few times I didn't win, I'd say, okay, this is not it. Try a different thing. 35 years, every week, he doesn't give up. Can you imagine? He stands in the line, rain and sunshine and snow and ice and whatever. He's buying his ticket, he's taking it home, he loses. Why do that? You know why? Because he's waiting for it to win. Hashem Yisbarach says, don't give up on your tefillahs. You daven once, you daven twice. Daven 35 years. I hope you answered after 35 seconds. I hope 35 minutes. But just in case not, don't give up. Continue to daven. Never stop. But a person has to want to. They have to see it. They have to understand it. In the Tillim, Kaveh al Hashem, Chazak v'yametz libecha v'kaveh al Hashem. What does it say? Rashi HaKadosh, Kaveh al Hashem, hope to Hashem. Kaveh, you need hope. You need positivity. You don't need negativity. You don't need cynicism. You don't need someone telling you why you're not going to be Matzliach. You need someone to tell you you will be Matzliach. You need someone to give you hope. You need someone. Napoleon used to come into the room, and he said, who wants to be a soldier, a private? And he'd go over to him and he'd say, man, you believe you could be a general? And the guy would say, nah, goodbye. That's the next one. Do you believe you could be a general? Yes. You can be a soldier in my army. The Chavetz Chaim Zechet Tzadik Livracha, Schusa Yogen Olena, repeated this. He go in the Beis Medrash and ask a bacher, do you believe you could become a Godel Ador? You want a shtag? You got to believe it. You need hope. You believe you could become a big Rebbitzin? You need hope. So one time, I'm going to be misvada. I'm going to tell you. There was a couple, very, very impoverished. And this couple asked me to come to the bar mitzvah, just to vinchon their bar mitzvah bacher. And they made in a little hall. And I came in, and they were so excited. They ran over to me, and they said, would you just, for 1 second, we don't expect that you're going to stay, but for 1 second, could you just say, they had a little microphone set up, could you just say a mazel tov to them? I said, sure. I stood up, I said a Devar Torah, I called over the bar mitzvah bacher, I'm going to be misvada. Eschatoy ani masker hayom. I'm going to confess it. I told the bacher a maisa from the great Goin, Reb Chaim Brisker. They brought in a bar mitzvah bacher, Reb Aaron Kotler, the great Rosh Hashiva, bar mitzvah bacher. Reb Chaim Brisker, before he was leaving Reb Aaron, says someday half the world is going to sit on that boy's shoulders. That's what he said. I said to this bar mitzvah bacher from this family, who knows? Maybe someday half the world is going to sit on your shoulders. I walked out. I was done. I left the bar mitzvah. His Rebbe came walking after me. And he says, could I ask a question? I was sure he was going to ask me, where was the medrash that I quoted? What was the makor? I was sure that he was going to ask me. I said over a pasuk in a very interesting pshat. I was sure he was going to ask me. No. I'd like to ask you about the Maisa. I said, okay, what about the Maisa? Do you want to ask? I was going to, some people like very particular. Was it in Weisboden? Was it in Kletsk? Did it take place in the summertime? Was it when everybody was there? Was there Aaron who took him? What other people were in the room? Is there a picture of it? Is there... No. Does the Rav really think that this bocher could one day become a gadol? I said to this Rebbe, Ani ma'amin be'amunah shalema. I believe with a complete and perfect faith. I told him in Lashon HaKodesh that this bocher could become a gadol hador. Don't you? He looked at me. I never thought that way. I said, Rebbe, begin to think that way about every bocher that you have in your class. You don't always get the ending of the story. I saw the Rebbe 8 years later. The Rebbe walked over to me and said, the Rav told me I would have never believed, but I have Amrus Chachomim. Today, he is sitting in Eretz Yisrael. One of the outstanding bochrim, who his Rosh Yeshiva does not want to let him even come home because he feels coming back to America is going to be a hafsok in his learning. That's the promise that he holds that this bocher has. Mi yodea. Hope. This much hope. That much hope. How do we decide who has hope and who's not? It depends what's in your heart. It depends how a person has the feeling. So Rashi HaKodesh says, Kaveh el Hashem. You already hoped to Hashem. You already davened. You weren't answered. You didn't get it. It didn't turn out exactly like you thought. Kaveh el Hashem. Go and ask again. Says the great Skelena Rebbe. Secher Tzadik v'Kodesh V'Tor Livracha. Skelena Rebbe asked the question, what does it mean, Kaveh el Hashem? He says an unbelievable thing. If the person daven, it shows that they didn't have enough hope in their heart. They didn't have enough that they should be answered because they didn't hope with all of their heart. Asher Yatzar, a person, Skula Nifla, Chovetz Chaim, Asher Yatzar, to say Asher Yatzar properly, to concentrate Asher Yatzar, to read Asher Yatzar from a little paper, from a sefer, from a siddur. They just published for the schus of Ben Zion, Shrever Refuah Shalema Bimheira. He's the chassan that got into the accident. They just published Asher Yatzar. So it's an interesting thing. I was taking a look in Halacha. So Halacha says, concentrate on Asher Yatzar. What do most people do while they're saying Asher Yatzar? Which is okay. Dry your hands. Halacha says, don't dry your hands. You're drying your hands, you don't have proper kavanah for the Asher Yatzar. You've got to be mechaven. You have to have the feeling, the intention. You have to understand each and every word. There's kaveh and there's kaveh. Which kaveh is it? It depends how much a person hopes. It depends what a person wants to accomplish here in this world. Baba Sali was noyeg to go to the mikveh. The great tzaddik Baba Sali. He went to the mikveh before anything big. Any of his big avodas that he did, he would go to the mikveh. A balabus came to him one night, and he asked him an eitzah. Baba Sali gave him the eitzah, and then afterwards said, back in Morocco, will you accompany to the mikveh? It's dangerous, it's dark, it's dangerous during the day, let alone in the night. The balabus really was not interested in going. He wasn't interested in going to mikveh, and he wasn't interested in going at night, but Tzaddik Goldwaser, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim, Baba Sali, Schusa Yagen Oleinu. He said, yes, Rebbe, I'll go. So he took the great Rebbe to the mikveh. When they reached the mikveh, this man took the key, put it inside, could not open the door to the mikveh. He said, Baba Sali, it seems to be that this is not the right key. We have the wrong key, so we can't go tonight. Baba Sali said, wrong key? Would you mind if I tried that key? Baba Sali took the key, put it inside the door, turned it one time, opened up. Baba Sali turned to him and said, Habala Tahir, Messiahinoso. You got hope? You want to do it? Hashem will help you. But it depends on the feeling. It depends what a person puts into it. How much an individual wants to show that they hope. How much an individual has gaguim that they want to accomplish it. If we want to accomplish it, we're going to be zocheh to do it. And a person should never think that one person has a greater chance, the other person doesn't have. I have too many averis, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. Why is it that we read the parsha of Matos, always Ben HaMetzarim? Ben HaMetzarim, we always read it. Why? What's the reason? Interesting. Because Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter says, we say, of course, the Nedarim. All the halachos of Nedarim. Parshas Matos. Rav Meir Shechter says, interesting, we begin Avodas Yom Kippur, Leil Yom Kippur, Kol Nidre. So why do we start with Kol Nidre? Funny, everybody stands up. The Shochan, you got the Baal Tefillah, usually two others, and they start Kol Nidre. He says the reason is because a person that reaches a night of Kol Nidre, a person could lose hope. I know what I did. I know this year what I did. I know, unfortunately, I didn't live up to what I should have. And maybe I did a few things wrong. So how am I coming in Kol Nidre? And the Satan always tries, Lo Aleinu, to be mekatrig and to bring a person's feelings down. So we go in and we say Kol Nidre. You know why? Because it's an interesting thing. Mesilas Yesharim asks a question. There's a chiddush of tshuva. Tshuva is a person does something wrong, and then all of a sudden, they're forgiven. But they did it wrong. Imagine a person does something wrong. Imagine, chas v'sholom, they steal money. Chas v'sholom, they do something that's illegal in the world. Illegal. I was davening the other morning, someone came over to me and gave me, if you will, a kvittel, and said, please be mispalel for this yid. He right now is facing a lot of jail time. Could you please be mispalel? We saw something earlier that you helped somebody. Could you be mispalel? I turned the paper. I put it in my pocket. Not a day goes by that I don't take a look at it to be mispalel by him. For him. So, you come in the judge. The guy stole $10,000. He comes in the judge. The judge is strict. And he comes in front of the whole court and the jury and the whole system and the stenographer and the court and everything. And the guy says, Judge, I got something to say in the beginning. I want to tell you something. The judge says, wait, this is not how it works over here. There's a certain decorum. There's a certain system. And no, Judge, you don't understand. I'm doing tshuva for it. I'm doing tshuva. You know, I understand I did wrong. I charot alavar, Kabbalah Allah. Sit now, can I go home? Sit where you're at. Don't you move. Mesilas Yesharim says, how is it that by tshuva it works? I say, Borei Olam, I stole $10,000. Borei Olam, I didn't daven like I should have. Borei Olam, I wasn't Ben Olam Chavera like I should have. Borei Olam, I did something I'm not proud of. But Hashem, you got to forgive me. Hashem, b'moichel me. Ki ata sochan li Yisrael. You forgive everybody. So, Hashem says, okay, I forgive you. How does it work? Mesilas Yesharim said it's the same thing like a neder. A person made a neder. They're going to do something. You know how many people came to me for Hataras Nedarim? They had all great intentions. They want to be Makabel this or that. I want from now on to be Nizar in this or that, or I'll never go there. And then all of a sudden, they say, you know what, it was too much for me. The Alter from Slobodka used to say, you want to make a Kabbalah, cut it in half and make a Kabbalah on the half. Don't do the whole thing because it's setting a person up sometimes for failure. So, individual can have a Torah on it, and the Chiddush is that it's ma'aker. It takes away the neder lemafreya, retroactively, as if the neder was never made. According to this, we can understand that when a person does tshuva, when they come in by Kol Nidra, and they beg Hashem Yisbarach, so Hashem Yisbarach takes away that Aveira, so it's not here in existence any longer. It's no longer in the world. You won't see it. You will not be able to have it ever recorded because a person can get it removed completely from the record. That's what a person has to know. Another area where there's hope, and there's tremendous hope, and I want you to know that the single greatest, what shall I say? The single greatest negative factor in the Olam HaShiduchim is someone that says, Chas v'shalom, that, oh, I don't know, look at the statistics, look at what's happening, look at this, look at that. A person has to live with hope, no matter what the age is, no matter who the person is, no matter what their stage in life is. A person always has to be hopeful in it. Somebody came to me and they said, I have now removed my name from all the shadchanim. I used to call up once every other week to keep my name. Now I made a call and I asked all the shadchanim to take my name off the list. So I said to the young woman, I said, how could you do that? You have a different Eitzah? I thought maybe there's a different... No. I faced the reality. I read an article, Halavai, there shouldn't be articles written that have negativity and cynicism and tell people what's out there. We know what's out there. I don't need someone to tell me what's out there. I don't need anything to tell me what's out there. I need someone to say positive. I need someone to say something that will be enlightening, inspiring, encouraging, lechazek, to be mechazik the hearts of Klal Yisrael. And so she told me, I removed my name from all of the shadchanim. I realized that it's over. I was saving up a certain amount of money for my wedding. And I would like the Rav to please give me the proper places that I should donate that money to. I said to her, how can you take away your chance? Rav, what kind of chance? I didn't wait long enough. I have to wait longer? The money is in the account. I have a schus, so the money will go out, so someone will have it. Wherever you tell me, Talmidei Chachomim, they'll have it. Wherever you tell me, Bikur Chaylim, they'll have it. Hachnosos Kala, let someone else get married. I wish them all well. Let them have it. Rav, tell me, who? I said, okay, if you must, I would like you to tell me exactly how much money you have. In one moment, she told me. I said, fine. I want you to be makna to me all the money. I want to have all the money. She had great amunas chachamim. She was going to do it. I didn't even tell her for what. She was going to do it. I should pull this trick more often. Gave it right away. Nicha. Okay. I thank you very much. Now the money belongs completely to me. It is Rabbi Dovid Goldwaser, and I told her my social security number. It belongs to me now. Okay, Rav, it belongs to you. Okay, it's the Rav's. I said, fine. Now I'm able to do with it whatever I want. So she thought it must be Al Pi Kabbalah, Tom Coleman, you can't tell the reason. I said, yes, okay, fine, good. I will tell you what I will do with the money, but not right now. I am saving it for a cause that I believe in, B'emunah Shalema. And when I'm ready, I'm going to let you know what that cause is. She said, fine. She agreed with me. She left the study, Mole Simcha. If I would have told her, give all the money to the Koilo, give all the money to Hatzalah, give the money to Misaskim, give the money, whatever. So everyone said, well, I would have given it to that. Give it to children, give it to stalkers, give it to parents that need to have money for their food, give it to parents that need money for tuition. Merubim tzarchei amcha. Like this, she went out, she was happy. I called her back the next week. And I said to her, I just want to tell you as a halachic consideration of Yeush. Halachic consideration of Yeush. You are not allowed to be miyayish. You're not allowed. There are certain halachas of Yeush. Interesting halacha according to some shitas. If I lost $1,000, chas v'shalom, I lost $1,000. I was out on Avenue J, or 13th Avenue, or London, or Australia, or Switzerland, or Nairobi, South Africa, Victoria, wherever you're at in the world, doesn't matter, wherever Yidden are, South America, Paris, and I lost $1,000. So I go back and I look for it. Look for it. It wasn't there. I'm waiting, should be an ad that comes out in the Yid, or the Hamodia, or the press, or Yater, wherever you look, I don't know, wherever you get, whatever you like, the Zeitung. And I'm waiting for it to say, Rav Goldwaser, we found your $1,000, please come and get it. And I'm looking, I'm waiting to see that somebody, or there was a video somewhere that they saw that I lost it and someone picked it up and they'll be able to trace them down again. And then one day, after a long time, I decide, I gave up. I ain't getting the money back. No way. 2 years later, I say, that's it. I got to chalk it up to a loss, right? Interesting. What happens if the day after I gave up, I'm miyayish? What happens if after that day, they call me up? Rav Goldwaser, you're not going to believe this. Somebody found the money. It's yours. This happened, Rabbi say, it happened. They found the money. They would like to bring it back to you. Only one little technicality. Goldwaser gave up yesterday. I was miyayish. There are shitas that say, when I'm going to get the money now, I have to pay meiser on the money that I'm getting because I was miyayish. I disconnected myself. So I told to this young woman, you cannot be miyayish. You can't disconnect. You want to go and call up a shadchan and say, take my name off. I can't say that I agree with you. I try to agree with you. I can't say I do. Harbe shluchim lamokoim. Maybe it'll come in a different way. Hashem can send it out of any way. Hayar Hashem tiktzar. Is the hand of Hashem too short? What Hashem could do and can't do. Hashem can do everything. The kol yachol. There's nothing that can't be accomplished in this world. Of course. So I said, you can't be miyayish. She said, okay, I won't be miyayish. I said, I want you to make ishtadlus. You don't want to make that ishtadlus, make other ishtadlus. But you've got to make ishtadlus. I'm holding all the money now. So she listened. She made ishtadlus. She made ishtadlus like she never made in her entire life. She came back to me to ask me an eitzah about a young man that does not want to continue to go out for elongated period of time. He wants her to get married right now. So she said, I don't want to rush into things. After this amount of years, it's not, no rush. I mean, Zrizim Makdimim. Zrizim Makdimim. So she said, okay, there are a few technicalities. I don't exactly have money for the wedding. I said, yes, you do. She said, well, how? I said, well, you gave to me all the money, right? So I dedicated it to Hachnosas Kala for you. It's yours. She was married b'shah tov u'mitzlachas. Chas v'sholem, a person that gives up hope doesn't try. They don't care anymore. They gave up. If you tell the kid, what are you ever going to amount to? Look what kind of a test you bring me home. You get a test like that? Was anybody poorer in the Gemara than you? Did you know how to read the Verter? Could you even read the words on the Gemara? You didn't even look at it? What do you expect to be? What are you going to be? How are you going to grow up? Take away the child's hope. There'll be nothing. If you tell the child that brings home the bad paper or the bad report card, and I always love to say it, there was a little child, they wait to say good Shabbos, Leil Shabbos. So there was a little child online. Usually the person that stands the last in the line, this is, I'm telling you, Ruach HaKodesh, the person that stands the last one on the line usually has something to ask you, and they want everybody to leave first. Usually if it's private, they'll really wait back, okay? So this little guy's waiting back. Everybody left from the shul. The little boy comes over to me. I bend down to listen, and he asked me a shaila chamura. The boy said, I got a bad report card. Am I mechuyev to show it to my father? Do I have to show my report card to my father? I didn't want to tell him, but I had that shaila myself a few times. I said, well, why don't you want to show it? Oh, you don't know my father. No, I only know him from shul. Okay, I'll be pale. Don't worry. I told him, don't worry. And I did a little behind-the-scenes work. A child brings home a bad report card. What do you tell him? You tell the child, okay, you didn't do so good now. I'm sure you're going to do better next term. We all have times when it's not so good. We all have a few tefillas that weren't where they should have been. A few times when we sat down to learn and the learning didn't go like it should. A few times that I did chesed and I could have done it with a lot greater zeal. And I could have done it and I could have cared a lot about them more than I did. In other things that I did. I forgive myself. I don't think I did anything wrong at all. Why is it that I find that I got to tell the boy all the bad things that he did? I want to tell the boy who brought me the bad report card, you know, when you grow older, I'm going to ask you my shilas. You're going to paskin the din for me. I'm going to come to you when I need to figure out pshat. You can never tell. I want to tell you, chush, special children, right? Chush. So they asked me one time to speak in a parlor meeting, and one of the boys came over to me from chush, and he said, could I tell you a chiddush? Chiddush? Sure. I stood up. He told me a chiddush concerning Kiddush Levana. It was so deep, I had to ask him, could you please repeat it so they'll be able to chap it. Mi idea. But if you take away the kid's hope, if you take away the kala's hope, if you take away the chassan's hope, if you take away the balabus that slaves all day and can't make a go of it yet, if you take away their hope, they're not going anywhere. Interesting. They asked the great Goin, Rebbe Yoshev, what's the eitzah? What is the eitzah of someone that needs a shidduch? So he says, Yesh eitzah achas. There's one eitzah, to be mispalo. The questioner said, my lips are dry from being mispalel. I can't be mispalel anymore. They're dry. Rebbe Elyashiv said, be mispalel again, and you will see Yeshuas. And he added the words, Kaveh el Hashem, Chazak v'yametz libechu v'kaveh el Hashem. When Rebbetzin Kanievsky, Zichrona Levracha, was 10 years old, one day, her great father, Rebbe Elyashiv, didn't feel well. One day. And he stayed at home to daven. She noticed that he stepped back by Oiseh Shalom. He stepped back. And when he stepped back, he waited for a moment. And she wondered why he waited. After he finished, she asked him, Tati, why when you stepped back from Shemona Esrei, you waited and you didn't go back? So he says, I want you to know. It's cited in the name of the Leshem that it's a school in the Iflah to say Shir Lamalois Esoenai on the steps back. Once a person has stepped back, then to say Shir Lamalois, and then to go forward. School in the Iflah for Shirach. And many years later, Rebbe Elyashiv, maybe it was 90 years later, Rebbe Elyashiv, or almost, repeated those words. B'nai Yisrael, we go through fire and we go through water. Herkavta enish l'reishenu, state in Tilim, Perek Samach Vov, Bonu va'eshu v'amayim, v'toitzienu levoya. We went through fire and water, and Hashem brought us into abundance. Interesting. An individual sometimes goes through certain things, and they get nervous. Look what I went through. It's a bad siman. It's a siman this way. It's a siman that way. How do we know what thing is a siman? How do we know in this world to be able to read simanim? We can't read it. It could very well be that we're on the way to do something great, and the Satan doesn't want to see it go. So he comes in the middle and begins to make a little havoc. He comes in the middle and begins to tumble. The shidduch is going great. All of a sudden, something goes, whatever. The marriage, Satan comes in. The parnasa, all of a sudden. The individual is doing avodas Hashem, and then all of a sudden, something comes from left field that they didn't expect. No. It says in Tilim, I went through the fire, and I went through the water. After that, Hashem opened up for me. An individual should never think, ever in this world, that they got a bad siman. The siman is, maybe, I got to do tshuva. The siman is I have to Hisairis. On the road to Auschwitz, mi yodeya, what was the atmosphere in some of the transport trains that were going along? There was a Yid that was in the transport train. A Yid, a Heilige Tzaddik. And the Yid, when everybody gathered in, people were crying, people were screaming, people were yelling, people were sobbing. Every possible emotion was there. People were already saying Vidoy. And in fact, there's a tshuva from Agoin Rebbe Elyashiv in the third chelik, whether Aliyah L'Rakevet, going up to the train, was already Kiddush Hashem, was already considered as the person, was Ola Ala Mizbeach of Kiddush Hashem. So he was there. He began to be composing a niggin. He began to make up a song. In the way to Auschwitz, in the car, packed with Yidden. He started the niggin. He sang it through. The people looked at him. This is a time for niggin? This is a time to sing? And they all looked at him. And he continued to sing. The third time he repeated the niggin, everybody repeated the niggin. Then everyone, the fourth time and the fifth time, the whole car singing the niggin. And then when they sang the niggin, even the people in the next car heard it. And they began singing the new niggin when they learned it. And then the next car, and all the cars were singing that niggin. When everybody was singing the niggin, even those accompanying the train Yemach Shemam v'zichram la'ol meyad mitachas shmei shemayim. And all the others, innocent, bystanders, onlookers, silent. Nobody said a word. Heinam levadod yishkain. You sit down by kinnis. You don't have to think about. A Yid asked me, how do I feel Tisha B'Av? A Yid. A choshev a Yid. How do I feel? I know some of the older people, but how do I feel the Tisha B'Av, the kinnis? How do I feel it? I told him, come to me. We're doing kinnis a few hours. Come with me. Sit down together with me this year. Come. You're invited. He says, I'm going to come. I'm desperate. You think about what Yidden went through, what the kinnis are written about, the gezeres. You take any one of the kinnis and you're ma'ayin into it. You got what to cry about. You got what to think about. But to sing is sacrilegious. He continued to sing, and everybody sang. All of a sudden, this Yid said that anyone that will go and take this niggin will take the niggin and smuggle it out and go to the Heilige Moshe Rebbe. Anybody that will take this, I promise them half of my Olam Haba. The Yid's name is Azriel David Fastag. The niggin he made up, the Ani Mamin that we sing. The Ani Mamin that I have a Yid sing at the end of all the kinnis every single year. Dr. Kirstein, Rabbi Dr. Kirstein, Sheres HaPleit the Yid, sings that niggin by us, by kinnis, every single year. Azriel David Fastag was a Yid. One Bocher, two Bochrim escaped, they jumped out. One Bocher was killed, the other Bocher made it. He had the notes written in charcoal on a rag and gave over the niggin exactly as it was supposed to be to the Moshe Rebbe. His cousin, a Heilige Yid by the same name, very close cousin, Azriel David Fastag, gave me the siddur, the sefer, in which he talks about it. They went through fire. They went through water. They went through the worst of the worst. But did they ever stop? Not for 1 second. They hoped. If he'll die and he'll be Nereg al Kiddush Hashem, at least the niggin shel tikva, will make it out okay. That is the way that a person has to have in their heart. That is the feeling that a Yid has to go with. No matter what happens, no matter what a person is choishev, no matter what a person thinks in their heart, they should always know that at any given moment, the yotzes can change. At any given moment, a person's life can change. Simcha can come into us even if there's been sadness for a long time. Even if a person's been very unhappy. What do I think is part of the problem of our generation? It's a loss of hope. It's a loss of tikva. It's a loss of those that want to encourage and inspire and bring up the generation. Not to tell what we're doing wrong. Not to be cynical. Not to be negative. Not to be critical. But rather to lift up. It says in Tehillim, Ashrei shekel Yaakov be'ezroi, Sivroi al Hashem Elokav. Praiseworthy is the one whose help is Yaakov's Hashem, whose hope is Hashem. The Zohar HaKadosh says, Al tikra sivroi elo shivroi, loshen shavar. The person is broken. The individual, the Zohar says, is completely broken, but he still gathers his strength in order to serve Hashem. Be'emes u'biyira. We cannot tell what it is that we have in this world. We don't know the great fortune that all of us have. We cannot tell. Even a person didn't uncover or discover themselves after 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or 40 or 50 years. It does not matter. It doesn't matter at all. It's nicht wichtig. It only matters what a person hopes in their heart, what they will have in the future. Likutei Moharan talks about it in very graphic terms. Likutei Moharan says that a person that hopes An individual that keeps that alive will be able to be moishech from Shamayim, brachos. Brachos. It's a koyach hamshacha to be able to bring down brachos. That's hope that a person has to have. The Tolner Rebbe came to a Yid. He had a little inn, starving, couldn't make money from the little inn. And he was machnes orach. He took the Tolner Rebbe in and he brought him and he was mechabed him and he did everything for him. And he noticed, this innkeeper, Nashkin Groise Chassid, he noticed that a lot of people came from different little shtetlach to get his bracha. They stood in line. So the innkeeper's wife, Isha Chachama, she said, listen, Chacham Groise, everybody's standing in line to wait for a bracha from the Rebbe. Why don't you also go in line? Okay. So he says, Rebbe, he gets up there, he says, Rebbe, I need a bracha of a panasa. A bracha of a panasa. Are you mispala? Yeah, sure, I daven. The Rebbe said, tell me, how much money you have? That's a question. I have 400 gold pieces. That's my savings. The Rebbe said, okay, bring them to me. And when it's chachomim, he brings the 400 gold pieces. He puts them down in front of the Tolner Rebbe. The Tolner Rebbe said, you should find out who does contracting work, because you're going to need to enlarge this, that there should be 300 places for guests, and even a place for machinery, a mill next door. The guy burst out laughing. He thought to himself, I just paid 400 gold coins for a dimyon, for a cholam, for a dream. The Rebbe left. A few years later, there's a Yid that was present. He passes through the community. He sees a building, 300 occupancy, with a office on the side, with a mill and machinery. He goes to the Tolner Rebbe. He says, Heilige Tolner Rebbe, what was that all about? He says, I'm going to tell you. Kol Zaman, that the guy had the 400 gold pieces in his pocket, as long as he owned it. So his tefillahs were whatever level the tefillah was. But he got the 400 gold in the aron. He's got it in the bank. Once I took away his money, that was the first time that his tefillah, that his davening, came from the inside, came from the amkas. That is what a person has to realize. It is according to the ability that we have to hope, to put into it, to beg Hashem, to show Hashem Yisbarach that we are completely dependent on Him. Ki biyodcha afkid ruchi, be'esi shan v'oira. When I go to sleep and when I wake up, it's all you, Hashem. That's the way a person has to feel. And if they do that, they're not afraid of anything in the world. They're not afraid of a naysayer, of a person that's cynical, of an article that came out, of a blog. They're not afraid of somebody telling them how they won't be matzliach and why they will not be matzliach and what they don't and should not try. They won't be worried about that because they will not be afraid of anybody in the world. I'll be Messiah. We're a little over time. Do we have a minute? 1 minute. I'll be Messiah b'dover tov. The Heilige Poperov, Zechet Tzadik V'Bracha, was noeg. He used to get up. Purim is a big time for tefillah. It's a big time for brachas. I have a little sefer in the house, the skula of tefillas mincha on Purim, just dedicated to tefillas mincha on Purim. So what happened was every year he used to get up, and every year by the Purim Suda he used to give out brachas, big brachas to people. Everybody. Unbelievable time of Yeshuas. Everybody knew. 1 year, the Rebbe changed his mind. He decided he wasn't on the Madrega to do it anymore. So the Poperov said he's not going to do it. He's not that tzaddik anymore, and he won't do it. Everybody was upset. No one had the audacity to say anything. But there was one elderly chassid. the elderly chassid stood up and said, I would like to just say one thing. Just one thing I want to be Megala about the Madrega of our Rav. And I wanted to go to the next generation, so I want to say it. He said that during the Shaya, it wasn't the dead of night. The Nazis, Yamach Shemam Zichram, took the inmates from their particular bunk, woke them up when they had just fallen asleep, took them one by one inside to their quarters, and made them do all kinds of crazy things so that they could laugh. They told the inmate, jump, jump. Then they told him, roll over, then go this way, then stand on your head. Then do a somersault and turn back that way. Then stand on one foot and stand on it. And each one went in and each one went out. Sadistic games. The human mind. Rishis. There was one person inside. They didn't know who it was. And the Nazis, Yamach Shemon, were screaming, you dog! You started telling him everything and cursing him out. Do what we say! Do what we say! You do it! And they began screaming at him. And then they heard vicious blows in hitting him. They didn't hear one scream from the person who was being hit. Whispers went out. Inside was the Puparov. A rumor. Went out more, and the people outside, the inmates wondered, why doesn't the Rav just do what he's supposed to? Why doesn't he just listen? Why is he taking this? It continued and continued. They screamed and screamed. He wouldn't do it. They hit him. They did anything to him. His body was dripping with blood from all over. Finally, they took him out and they put him there just to lie. Probably they thought he was dead. After a while, he had at least the koyach to drag himself out. When they saw the Admor, they ran over to him. They picked him up. They cleaned him off. They tried to do whatever they could to just get off all of the blood and to help him. When finally they put him in on top of the board so he could rest, they asked him, Rebbe, with great derech eretz we're asking, we suffered more than you did when you were in there just hearing. Why didn't you just follow the orders of the Rishoyim? The Puparov looked at them and said, I'll tell you the reason. Because I am more afraid of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi than I am of those Rishoyim. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says what they wanted me to do is called Praktan. In Brochus, Yud Gimel Amud Beis, it says Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi cursed someone who lies in that manner. I am not afraid of the Nazis, Yamach Shemam V'Zichrom. I am afraid of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. The Kedusha in the Tahara that the Papa Rebbe lived with, the Kedusha and Tahara that's possible for each and every Yid, no matter who. What we have inside of us is an Olam Mole. We just have to know it. The Heilige Reb Shlomo of Karlin once said, when somebody asked, what is the biggest Aveira that a Jew can do? Reb Shlomo put his head down for a minute, picked it back up, and said the biggest Aveira that a Yid can do is to forget that they are a Ben Melech, a son of the king. Chazak v'amatz.
Boisai, Irgenshuter is not giving up. We believe that everyone's going to come forward and sponsor the remaining shiurim for the summer. We have full amunah and b'tachan Calling Commissioner Torah 718-851-8651. Email tapecenter@yeshivanet.com and sponsor his shir. Helping Commissioner Torah with Abatzis Torah the Rabbim. Tonight's shir was sponsored by the Rand family, Lila Nishmas Aviyam, Moshe Ber Elazar, and Imam Chedva Fradel Basar Rabbi Dovid Goldwaser. Shkach Dvorim for coming. CDs will be available shortly. B'chananya ben Akashem, and Tzagarish Bochel Zakis, and Shal Figure Hibram Torah Mitzvah Shenem Adonai Chofes, and Tzidka Yagdul Torah V'Yadeh.